Hello, everybody. In this episode, I'm going to introduce you how are we going to conduct the application process to approve or reject the application. So in total, there are going to be 6 steps we are going to take. And let's start from the very first one. The first step is check the credit score and report. In general, we would like to know the credit score is in about 630 or above. So this is acceptable. Obviously, the higher the better. And in terms of the report, what you are looking for is things are late, delinquency, meaning they have some serious bankrupt, money owing, outstanding, late payment, those kind of detailed information. So for details, I highly recommend it. You search online to find some information which is quite available to learn how to read the report, the credit report, understand how it works. And basically what we are looking for is no outstanding late payment. And those are the key, or the bad record. So this is the credit record part. Number 2, what we are going to look at is so-called employment. In this stage, it's better to check the people who are on the main contact. Normally, the people has one income, which is fine, or they have 2 main incomes. All those steady, stable, continuous income should be considered. And in terms of employment, the main contract should have a steady working history of 3 years or longer. So the stability is what we are looking at. And the very third one is what we call income. What you want to see is the gross before tax income monthly should be 3 times of the rent as minimum. For example, if your rent is $2,000, then their gross income before tax combined should be at 6,000 or more. And that is very important to check. The point number 4 is to call previous landlord, asking so-called renting history. And I would like to ask people to pay attention, be aware, is a previous landlord, meaning they are coming from so-called current landlord most likely, and that landlord, depending on the situation, they may or may not tell you the whole truth. However, for the people who are coming to your place, it is going to be quite beneficial to also get the landlord before the current. So that's called previous landlord. And you basically ask the history, how long they stay, what's the rent they pay, do they pay rent on time, is there any issue? And on top of that, the very first question I would like to ask you to ask is called, how are you related with this gentleman or this lady? Because sometimes people use their friends, family members to as their reference or previous landlord. By asking this question helps you to identify what is actually going on? And that is quite a powerful question. So I repeat it again, is how are you related with this gentleman or this lady? So that's the number 4. And the number 5 is the history. What I mean by history is how long they have been stayed in the current place and how long they have been stayed in the previous place. By asking this, because we are aiming for so-called steady long-term tenant to stay. If the tenant stay in the previous place, say for 5 years, the other place for 7 years, you know, in likely they are going to stay longer as well. However, if the previous staying for only 6 months or 8 months, chances are when they are coming to your place, you may expecting a shorter than what you are hoping for. So that's called to check on the residential history. And the very last one is what we call the gut feeling. In this part, I'm not telling you to basically go by gut. That's not the case. But I do want to let you know is if so for some reason you just don't feel this is the right fit, the answer is do not do it. Because your gut feeling tells you something. It might not be something you realize, but I'm a firmly believer, trust your gut feeling because 9 out of 10 times your gut feeling tell you the right thing. So that is quite important. Fully trust your gut feeling. And if you don't feel comfortable, remember this. Keep a place vacant is 10 times better than a bad tenant comes into your place. So in this whole process, we are actually covers 6 areas. The very number 1 is credit rating. We give you the score and also how to read the report. The number 2 is called employment. In this particular case, we normally looking for people are longer than 3 years, which I do less than 3 years, 1 year should be fine. Less than 1 year, you got to be careful. The income, there is a magic number, is called 3 times more than rental. And for the call landlords to identify what's happening, what we are recommending you to do is to call previous landlord and asking the very first question, which is, how are you related to the people? Before you asking all the rest of the questions. And also the number 5 is what we call the residential history. You want to see the pattern, which is going to likely the pattern you are going to experience. And the very last, but not the least, is so-called gut feeling. Trust your gut feeling. And if you don't feel right, don't go with it. Empty place is 10 times better than the bad tenants come to your place. Thank you very much.